Well, hello, folks. Hope you're well. And if you're not, get better soon. That's an order. Um, it's always very difficult for me to pick a topic that's not going to bore the pants off you, unless you're a 6 foot leggy blonde, and I have no problem to find that topic. Joking apart. Um, where to start? Where to start? I know what I want to say. I just want to say it in the right way, really. It's always very difficult without offending, but you cannot make an omelette without breaking an egg sometimes. So I'm just going to say things today, and if it offends, so be it. Am I bothered? That's a wonderful statement, isn't it? Am I bothered? Why should I be bothered? It doesn't really matter in the grand scale of things whether I'm bothered or you're bothered, does it really? It's a bit like what, you lend somebody 50 pence, and you can't, you're not really bothered whether they remember to pay you back or not, and but you'll worry if it's 1,000 quid, wouldn't you? You'd be worried then. What's changed? You still lent them money. Okay, but it's the importance of it all, isn't it? It's the importance. It's not the principle. Otherwise you'd be worried about them owing you a penny, never mind £1,000. And we really should rationalise it to ourselves. We do, don't we? We rationalise to ourselves. But the point I want to get across in this video will come clear, I suppose, and it's something I've been thinking about for some time. And I find as I grow older, I don't get fazed. I don't sweat the small stuff. I never really have done, quite frankly. I don't get bent out of shape over trivia. I just simply cannot be bothered with it all. And yet some people are obsessive, aren't they? I'm not saying women are more prone to this than men, but it is true that, I know women who could moan for Britain. Absolutely get the gold medal, over such trivia. And we shout at our children for such things, but we as adults are guilty as charged many, many times about worrying over trivia. Because at the end of the day, I just want to get hold of these people and say, look, whether it's blue, light blue or dark blue, in the grand scale of all the shit that's happening on our world, it doesn't bloody matter. Yeah, but. Now that's a wonderful statement. Yeah, but. Yeah, but what? Yeah, but she did. Yeah, but. It's like Chatty Cathy when you pull a string on this doll. You pull it, you pull it again, and there's so many people like Chatty Cathy. Yeah, but. He did this, she did that, and you get this. It's like listening to teenagers argue. That's another one that drives me up the wall. They're so petty over such trivia. And many of them carry it on into their adult lives, don't they? I've met people like this, I'm sure you have, and yet they drive me insane, petty people. I'm a firm believer that we live on a flat plane, because I can tell a horizontal line across my vision, from east to west, north to south, and there's absolutely zero evidence to me of a curvature. That's all. I would rather believe my eyes than believe the bullshit that is told to us at schools. I'm a responsible adult. That's what I'm called, apparently, a responsible adult. And I should be responsible for what goes on, and what I'm responsible entirely of what I believe and what I don't and choose to dismiss. So many of the time, after doing my due diligence, but I will make a decision. I don't need anyone else telling me. I'd rather, on occasions, check it out for myself. I'm glad I did on many occasions. But whether we live on a flat plane or not, if we do live on a ball and I'm wrong, I'm wrong. You see? That's it. And if I'm right that we live on a flat earth, I'm right. But there's no merit in getting into arguments with people about such things, because you'll never win. And it isn't I'm right, you're wrong, but so many people are like this, they're nah, 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 and they want to grow up a little bit. And I get comments on my YouTube videos about everything was going swimmingly, good information, but then something dreadful happened. I mentioned during a video maybe that I'm a flat earther, and that was it. As though I pissed on his parade. But what does it matter? I really personally don't care what you think. What you think is none of my business. And what I say, you either accept and think, well, that's interesting, I'll look into it, or it becomes a non-entity, doesn't it? And 99% of what most people comes out of most people's mouths is just a non-entity. And this is why we have one mouth and two ears. We should listen twice as much as we speak. But I can't get bent out of shape over trivia. I've never been one for being bent out of shape over trivia. Yet children seem to learn it from somebody, don't they? And they get away with it, and they never grow out of it, and they become adults that never seem to want to drop it. Even in the work situation, people rattle on and moan about such trivia when there's children dying of starvation in a land of opulence. You think, stop moaning, just for Christ's sake, is that all you have to... You can't have a bad life if that's all you've got to moan about. Yeah, but... And you think, here she goes, chatty Cathy. And the men are like this as well. I've met men like this as well, so we're not getting away with it. But more often than not, it's women. I've been involved with medicine, black magic, medicine, same. Probably I had an interest in it since I was about 17. And even now, at the age of 58 this year, I think I still have an interest in this. But when I was involved in the NHS, working in general hospitals, if you like, and military ones, I often got involved with caesarean sections, urgent ones, called crash sections, they call them, where you just got to get them on the back, slice and get that baby out, and then worry about everything else later. Because if you don't, the baby's dead or the mother's dead. It's very simple. So, yeah, they're called crash sections. Because everything crashes, effectively, in a metaphorical sense. But I often bump into the women that have this done on the anaesthesia side rather than the obstetric side. I think I can remember this woman from months ago when she first came into the antenatal clinic. That's before she had the baby, antenatal, before birth, really. Okay. And here she is, screaming like a stuck pig. And this was, let's say, 20 years ago, easily, maybe 30 years ago now. So, she's well past her prime now, the old bit. But I do remember seeing such people in the antenatal clinic, because when you just cast your eyes across the outpatients and look at them all waiting in the antenatal clinic with their blood pressure charts and their medical notes in their hand, and they're all being seen by Dr. Prod, the gynecologist, obstetrician more likely, same. They come in for their checks to see how the pregnancy's going, as though they're the first in the world to have a baby. These people are treated. And they Oh, well, I have to be honest, if they've got the husband with them, I do feel sorry for the poor sods, especially if it's the first baby. And the women who are first baby types coming in with their first pregnancy were the worst at being drama queens. Oh, absolutely. You know, you would think that they've got some terminal illness. The way some of them walk around and put on what do they want? They're having a pity party. They come in, they've got their notes in their hand, and they're not even showing, really, if you look at them fully dressed. And you think, here she is, and where's the husband? Oh yes, him, the second-class citizen who's carrying all the bags, all the junk, all this. And come on, Tony, we're going to be late. You know, Tony is now, he's no longer, of course, the midnight sex god, you know, at all. He's soon to be number 3. It used to be him, her, and now it's going to be the baby, his wife, and he's number 3. So he's actually suffering from a demotion syndrome. And you look at them, and they've got all the gear, you know, especially if it might be her second child. He's going to have, not too far apart, hopefully, and he's got all the gear. He's got the other brat to cart around. He's got almost everything but the kitchen sink on him. And she's waddling in, even without showing. It's such a, oh, poor me. Oh, it's so hot. It's sunshine. Oh, very dare the sun be shining. Oh, the world is on these women's shoulders, isn't it? And doctor, my ankles are swelling, and oh, I've got such heartburn, and yardy, bloody ah. Is this your first baby? Now second, so you know what's to come. Oh, I do, as though it's the major surgery that's going to be coming their way, the major pain. I said, well, you wait till you have to get your wallet out, love. Oh, it's him. And I used to think, turn it in. Turn all the amateur dramatics off, for Christ's sake. You're having a baby. You're not having a heart bypass or a heart transplant or a liver transplant, darling. Women all over Africa are picking tea and leaf by leaf by leaf with a baby slung on the back. They got one stuck in the front developing, and they're still picking tea in the midday bloody sun. Or there's women in bloody Africa, all the beans are out, the cocoa, the coffee beans are there. They got a baby on the back there. So what if they're pregnant? So bloody what? And yet they're treated like bloody royalty. Have you done the bloods? Have you got the blood pressure? Have you got this test, that test? Have you got the amniocentesis report? And yada. And you think, she's having a baby. It's been going on for thousands of years, probably millions. And here she is. She thinks she's the only one. She's the first in the world to have a baby. And she's got all the books, the Dr. Spock's. The baby's already been booked into Eton and Cambridge, of course. Or Rodine, depending if it's a girl. If we go to Rodine, it'll learn to be a thief, because they're all thieves in Rodine. Oh, I know all about Rodine. Finishing school for girlies. Yes, the shopkeepers in Brighton and Hove will tell you all about the little thieving cows. Yes. They carry that trait on into adulthood when they marry Mr. Rich. They truly do. Anyway, finishing school for girls, for Christ's sake. What next? That'll get the hate mail going. But you would think that it's a monumental task to have a baby. I mean, I have to confess, I thank God every day, if there is a creator that I can talk to, that I'm a male. And I hope I've done a good enough job this time. If I do reincarnate, I don't come back as a female, because I can't think of anything worse. I'm so glad I had a 50-50 chance, didn't I? Struck lucky. Thanks, Dad, because it's the man who decides the sex of the baby, not the woman. That's one decision you cannot leave in the hands of a woman. Thank Christ. And that's why it's the male that decides on the sex. This is why I used to feel sorry for Henry VIII's wives who couldn't produce a son. It wasn't their fault, it was his. And yet he lopped their heads off. I thought, way to go. I mean, what an excuse. You haven't given me a son, so I'm going to whack your head off, bitch. Come on, put it down. Hey, talk about giving him head. Keeping it a family show. Hey, Henry VIII blamed everyone but him bloody self. It was him who couldn't knock out the right bloody XYXX. I know. I mean, they didn't know these days, in those days, though, did they? Henry VIII was to blame for not having it, and yet he blamed all his wives. Well, he never had it in him, did he? Nor did she. Oh, that horrible, horrible man, Henry VIII. I think he's one of the worst kings of Britain ever had. I really do. Fat bastard. He had leg ulcers like you can't believe. And they stank. You could apparently smell him from one end of the castle to the other. I have absolute sympathy for the wives of Henry VIII, who could probably write a short book themselves about him and his little escapades. And just looking at him, I mean, I know a fair bit about Henry VIII. I did a school project on him, and I realised from day one he was trouble. You only have to look, he's a bloody ginger for a start, isn't he? I'm not a great fan of gingers. Their medical problems, they bleed a lot for some strange reason. But people who moan, but life is too short, isn't it, really, to get bent out of shape over trivia. And you want to shake the living crap out of people sometimes. I mean, I never tolerated it in my kids. I really didn't. I can recall the number of times I hit my children. Shyster father that I was not. But I wasn't a soft touch. You could destroy children with speech. You don't have to lay a finger on them. But just on occasions, the mother, the bitch, the mother, dog, get that in, has to nip a puppy just occasionally, just so the puppy knows what it's going to get next time if it does it again. Because sometimes words just ain't enough. The words fail us. Maybe they're the wrong words. Maybe the little brats don't take it on board. You can use stronger words or a louder voice, or you can give them detention and ground them and say you're not going out to play and all this other punishment. Then they get out the window and these sort of things, you know how it is. Been there, done it, got the t-shirt. But I'm very proud to say that I could control my children with words 99.999% of the time. I can recall the two occasions one occasion I hit my daughter, and the other one I use the word loosely, my son. And they were both under the age of 10. And my son wouldn't sit still and stop messing about at the dinner table. Okay, and he was about 6. You know how it is. And I told him 3 times, and then I said, if I have to tell you again, I'm going to slap your legs. He didn't listen, and he got his legs slapped. Only the once. And it stung him. But he didn't cry. I only hit him the once. My daughter was very similar circumstance, to be honest with you. And it were both behavioural disciplines. And even today, when my daughter's 30 and my son is now 26 coming up, they still recall those 2 times. You talk about creating an... Because I never hit them again, and I never hit them before the time. And the one time it did hit them, they never forgot it. Both of them talk about it and joke about it and rib me about it, and we have a laugh about it now. But at the time, they hated me for slapping them. And I slapped the legs on both. Well, no, I slapped my daughter's hand, and I slapped my son's leg because he had his shorts on. And both my daughter was being gobby to my wife, as girls are to their mums, and my son wouldn't stop still and stop messing around at the dinner table. I told him 3 times, if I tell you again, I'm going to take you down from the table and I'm going to slap you. He didn't listen. But don't make threats you don't intend to carry out. That's my advice. But back to the point of the pregnant ones. I have to be honest. I mean, there's 2 varieties of pregnant women. They're the ones who make a big deal out of it, but they've got every conceivable thing in their soap bag when they come into hospital to have a baby. Oh yes, it's the creams, the lotions, they've got all the gear. But it's all about them. Rubbing cocoa butter on their tummy in case they get this stretch marks. I mean, she looks like Bunty already without the baby. She's already got stretch marks all over her ass, and the back of her legs are cellulite. She was like that before she got pregnant. Some women, you can't tell if they're pregnant, they're that fat. And you wonder, I do, I mean, I know you shouldn't, but you do, you think, it's a brave guy that mounted that. And I wonder if Lord Lucan is still there, inside. He's been missing for some time. She could have him. But you can't help it. Even as a clinician, you can't help it. You do think, would I or wouldn't I? And, oh my God, some bastard really did. And I'm so ever grateful that I've got the wife I've got when I look at what a lot of men I see have got lumbered with. I think, well, you should raise your standards, my old son, but she'll raise the child support agency, my old son. That's the problem. I would just run and keep on running if I were him. But on another note, though, really, I don't get bent out of shape about trivia anymore. I never have done, and I never will. I'm very fatalistic, and I just don't put up with bullshit. I tell it how it is, but I'm zero tolerant of taking the shit out of anybody. I don't understand why you get, for example, traffic wardens who hang around in corners just waiting for you to be there. And you say, don't even think about writing a ticket, mate. I'm just going. Too late. Slap on the car. These people really get up my nose. Yes, they're on a numbers game, aren't they now? It's all about the money and it's all about power. And they're a particular breed of traffic wardens. And these type of people, I've got no time for them. There's no leniency anymore. Give us a break. Right, you've got 2 minutes. They can't do this anymore because everything's on CCTV. So there can't be any wiggle room about it all. And I don't understand. I'm now like a fish out of water in our society. It's all going to tit up, quite frankly, and it's quite by design. From my video last night, you will understand that the system is heavily geared towards pissing off the local population to such an extent. We not only hate being ourselves and having to mix with others like ourselves, we actually hate even more having to homogenise our society and deal with those who have absolutely no right to be here in our country in the first place. And we're supposed to tolerate this. Well, I'm very intolerant of it. But I have to protest in my own sweet way. I avoid them like the plague. I hold my breath when I walk past them. Isn't that awful? Because I don't want to breathe in tuberculosis. I have no idea which aeroplane they just stepped off and what's breathing out of the front of the burqa. That's to be honest with you. And it really, royally pisses me off to see these people spitting in the streets. 27 years ago, tuberculosis was an unknown. We'd had it. They've got rid of tuberculosis in our country. Bloody marvellous. I know all about tuberculosis. My sister-in-law had it. when she was young. It's a terrible disease. And believe me, people do die from it. And we got rid of it in the shores of Britain, folks, because we had strict immigration policies where we used to test people coming off aeroplanes. And we eradicated it because the most insidious thing, I think, about the invasion that has gone on in this country and continues to do so is the way that these people give little regard to others that are around them, especially the people that own and have a right to be here. These are the ones that arrive off an aeroplane or land on a boat and get told they can stay. Okay, yes, the ones that marry their first cousins and wonder why they have genetic defect retard children with detached retinas and learning disabilities and physical disabilities. I feel sorry for the children. Yes, those people who can, the men of which can go to the local mosque and pay a fee to marry an 8-year-old girl for the night, just to test drive it. Yes, and then divorce it in the morning, having paid quite a fee to the mullah. That is in their book. Yes. Rent a bride. That's what they do, folks. It legalizes paedophilic rape. And we turn a blind eye. Such is the power of religion. Yes, really. What a joke. You try it. Just you dare. But it's okay. Sharia laws, yeah, they make a big thing out of Sharia law. Well, I make a big thing of having, if I was a woman, having my clitoris and labia cut off and stitched together, leaving just a small enough hole to menstruate through. That would be a big thing for me. Mentally. You know. This is okay, though, because the misogynistic bastards that go to the mosques think it's all right to have 4 wives and treat them like shit. And they don't even need to go to the divorce courts. They just say, I divorce thee, I divorce thee, I divorce thee, and she's out the door. Yeah. But there are certain aspects of the use of the term loosely, religion, that are unpalatable and are not fit for human consumption, in my opinion. Where a man can rent an 8 and 9-year-old. I mean, come on, didn't it say in the Quran that the leader married a child bride at 6 and consummated at 8? Eh? They can't deny it. It's in the Quran. A child bride. Well, if it's good enough for him, I suppose it's good enough for every Muslim in the country that wants to pay the local mullah a one-night stand with an 8-year-old just to see if it fits. Do you know what I mean? This is what we've got living amongst us that spit in the streets and spread tuberculosis like you can't believe in this country at the moment. The respiratory wards of our country are filling up, not with silicosis, a miner's disease, and COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. No, they're filling up with tuberculosis. A recent, not so recent, but recent import. We had it gone. But we know now why. It's all part of the eugenics program, imposed on us by the man himself, who's going to have a reckoning. Another one. Lucifer boy himself. You see, I don't like it, you don't like it, we don't have to like it. It doesn't matter a shit to anybody whether we like it or not, quite frankly, because that's just the way it is. I used to hate that when my father used to say to me, it's the way it is, son. It's the way it's always going to be. I can't. Why? I could never stop it. I was driving him nuts sometimes, saying why. Will you stop asking why? Because I was a curious kid. But there's no curious kid now, like this is the way it's done. Okay. But nobody stops and thinks why anymore. Why do we do it like that? Well, it's always been done like that. That doesn't make it right. Yeah, well, we don't want to upset the apple cart. Tradition. Another stupid bloody thing in our human society is tradition. We've done it wrong for thousands of years. We may as well carry on doing it wrong. Despite all the science that shows we've been doing it wrong, evidently, and there's better ways to do it, forget that. We've always done it this way. It's worked in the past. No, it hasn't. We just ignored the failures. You know, it's like childbirth, though. And coming back to that, it's nothing new under the sun, is there? And this world is billions, and I mean billions of years old. I often hold a pebble in the beach. Understand this, that on this world, the flat one, that nothing is ever created nor destroyed by us. It simply changes form. Because the ingredients is always going to be here. It doesn't piss off through the firmament. It just sinks to the bottom. And there are evidences. There is evidence. Get my English right. You know, miles upon miles down under your little feet to show that we've been here 6 or 7 times before. And they found very advanced artifacts, very more advanced than what we've got on the surface. Deep, deep, deep. And we get excited about drilling for oil at 33,000 feet. Oil. There's never been a fossil found, folks, deeper than 15,000 feet ever of any living thing that's on this planet. Never. So how can oil be a fossil fuel? It isn't a fossil fuel, that's why. It's an abiotic solution. That means it's never had life within it. It's never been a dinosaur or dinosaur bones or old trees that have fallen down during the Jurassic period. Never, never, never. Oil is a natural product of the earth. And the earth manufactures it faster than human, trivial little worms that we are, can consume it. It's the scarcity factor that's been invented that makes it expensive. Rather like diamonds, ask Mr. De Beers. Another one, con. Diamonds are practically worthless, truth be known. They're all over the bloody floor. They just pick them up quick and lock them away and limit the availability. These pretty little things are called gems. It's the scarcity factor we're charged for. They have to drop the price of diamonds because everybody was waking up and smelling the coffee to realise they're an overpriced piece of shit. It's only carbon. Very compressed carbon. But they are cheap as chips. It's just that you can't go and pick them up. So we've been conned twice. One with the fossil fuel that's going to be running out, so we're all going electric. Well, think about this. It's better for the environment to have an electric car. Oh, really? Tell me how many Amazon rainforests had to be destroyed to produce the components for the electric car, the battery components. Yes, the batteries. The batteries that are extremely expensive from an environmental point of view. What do you do with the dead batteries? Because they're not recyclable. Yeah, all these cars you see. So we've really, it's 6.5 dozen, isn't it? The question of economics and efficiency. And those that control the electric cars, who do you think they are? Who controls and owns all the patents for that lot? The oil isn't going to run out, folks. Not in your lunchtime, and not in mine, and not in your great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren's time either. And diamonds are forever. They're forever so supernumerary on this world. They hide them from us and keep them from us and drip feed them, and that's why they're expensive. Overpriced pieces of bloody shit. A cubic zirconia, in many ways, is better value Well, that's my little rant over with. There's so many things in life that you think, get over it. You know, a lot of people need to get over themselves and realize that life is just temporary. We're only here for a short little window, and we should be enjoying ourselves, but not at the expense of others. That's subhuman. And yet we're surrounded by such people that take schadenfreudig pleasure out of our misfortune and misery. And the best way back at them, folks, is despite all the odds against us, is to enjoy your life and see it for the journey it is, and don't sweat the small stuff. Remember to smile. In Shakespeare said, it is doubly blessed. It enriches those that give it, and it pleases those who receive it. It enriches us both. So smile as you go under. And don't follow the light. That's what I've been advised. And if you're having a baby, don't make such a big fuss about it. It's been going on for millennia. And give the old man a break and carry a shock and bag yourself. Take care. Bye-bye.